Let's get a close-up look at just how bad it is in hospitals. We can speak now to Dr. Ghassan Abu Sittah, who's a plastic and reconstructive surgeon who's treating the wounded at Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza. Joins me live from there now. Doctor, thanks for joining us and taking the time out to speak to us. You're at Al-Shifa, as I say. Tell us how big that hospital is, how many patients there are there, and just what you're seeing.
The hospital's pre-war bed capacity was around 600, 700 as a push. The hospital now has around 1,900 wounded. And so these extra wounded are in trolleys, on mattresses, in the floors, in the corridors, in the emergency department, everywhere that we can make space for them. We have, in the outpatients departments, we've created space. In addition, there's 150 patients on ventilators with critical injuries. And after each air raid, the operating room, the reception area of the operating rooms is just, there are bodies on the floor waiting to get into the operating rooms, wounded from the latest airstrike. And then you clear that, and then there's another airstrike, and then you start all over again. And it's completely it is unremitting. In addition, there's around 50,000 people who sought refuge in the grounds of the hospital. And
just repeat that, just one second. That's 50, did you say 50,000? 50,000?
Yes, 50,000. 50,000. They live in the grounds, which is the grounds of the hospital has become like a tented city. They also live in the corridors, on the stairwells, in the lobbies of the different hospital buildings in Shifa compound.
And Doctor, so you're a plastic and reconstructive surgeon. What kind of injuries are you seeing? What kind of injuries are you dealing with?
We're seeing burns. We deal with burns. Over the last few days, we've seen increasing numbers of phosphorus burns. Today, I had a young child with phosphorus burns that we were treating. We are seeing burns from the incendiary component of a lot of these blasts. We have over 100 patients with burns more than 40% of their bodies. We have limb injuries, we have facial injuries, really traumatic, disfiguring facial injuries, debilitating limb injuries. This morning I had to do an amputation on the foot of a 9-year-old girl, and I had to do a reconstruction on a 1-year-old boy's foot. This is our work on a daily basis, between 12 and 15 cases every day, and we are barely scratching the surface of what needs to be done. As you said in your introduction, there are now 20,000 wounded. Gaza's whole bed capacity was 2,500 before the war. You can imagine what kind of tsunami of injuries that's completely overwhelmed the health system, which is still being denied any meaningful aid.
You talk about the burns, the phosphorus burns. White phosphorus, of course, is not permitted in warfare.
So is butchering 3,000 children. They seem to be happy to do that regardless. And so, I mean, I was here during the 2008-2009 war, when the Israelis used phosphorus in a much more widespread way. And you remember the Goldstone investigation and the Goldstone report with regards to the use of phosphorus. The Israelis, yet again, buoyed by a sense of impunity that they've received from the visiting Western leaders and the silence of the international community, really do not care about international law, about what constitutes a war crime, what are weapons that are banned under international law. All of these things have been thrown out the book because there's complete and unconditional support from Western leaders.
Given the lack of medical supplies, how are you actually treating people? How are you providing anaesthetic?
So there are times when the numbers are so overwhelming that there's not enough anesthetic technician and anesthetic doctors. And so we resort to using ketamine. Ketamine is a very old drug that used to be used in wars. and now is used just by vets. And we're using that because it allows the surgeon to administer the anesthetic and operate at the same time. And when 50, 60, 70 patients come at the same time, and a lot of them need to go immediately to the operating room, then you do that because there's no other option. Otherwise, they'll bleed out.
Doctor, you're doing fantastic work. We do appreciate you joining us, Dr. Ghassan Abu Sittah. All we can hear is ambulance sirens in the background. Your work is ongoing. Thank you.